It's the mystery of iniquity. Said it's the misery of iniquity. Said it's the history of iniquity. When it all falls down, yeah. Telling you all, it all falls down, yeah.
To understand what the occult has to do with the fashion industry, first we need to know what the occult is. The word occult does not mean evil, it simply means hidden, secret, obscured, concealed. This is referring to secret knowledge, hidden knowledge, and is often called esoteric. When knowledge or symbols are esoteric, it means it is intended for or likely to be understood by only a small number of people with a specialized knowledge or interest. It is often the case that symbols that have esoteric meanings also have exoteric meanings. Exoteric is the opposite of esoteric. It is when it is intended for or likely to be understood by the general public. There are many symbols that are esoteric. Some of these symbols are probably very familiar to you, but at the same time might not communicate much of a message at all. Don't be alarmed if you don't know what their esoteric meaning is. You are not supposed to. But once you take the time to study them, you no longer take these symbols at face value, but will be able to decode a message that is deliberately being conveyed. This goes hand in hand with the occultic motto, which is hiding in plain sight. For example, take a look at this symbol. We've all seen it, many of us have grown up looking at it. It has an exoteric meaning and an esoteric meaning. The exoteric meaning is, it's the peace sign. It is intended to be understood by the general public as the peace sign. But the esoteric meaning of this symbol, the true meaning which is understood by the few who are in the know, is that it is an anti-Christian symbol mocking Jesus and the crucifix. It is in fact a broken cross. But what has all this to do with fashion? We will get there, but first we need some more background information. I first want to address the undertones suggested so far, such as what is the purpose of the occult, and who are the they who follow it, who propagate it. This is a huge subject and a whole other presentation in itself, but briefly allow me to explain. The occult is an ancient religion, as old as time itself. It can be difficult to define because there are so many layers to it, and it covers a whole spectrum of practices. The heart of the belief is the more secret knowledge one person can attain, the more godlike you can become, so that eventually, with enough secret knowledge, you can become God. This is also called Gnosticism, literally the belief that you can attain salvation through knowledge. The polar opposite to this belief is what the Bible teaches, which is that you attain salvation through Jesus. When studying the occult, you will often come across this dichotomy with the teachings of Christianity. If we take a quick look at Genesis 3, you have Adam and Eve living in paradise in the Garden of Eden. The serpent, who is really the devil, tempts Eve to eat the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. In verse 3, Eve explains to the serpent that God has told her she must not eat from it, and she must not touch it or else she will die. In verse 4, the serpent replies to Eve saying, "Surely you will not die, for God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be open and you will become just like God, knowing good and evil." Long story short, Eve eats the fruit, which is often portrayed as an apple, even though the scripture is not specific. She then gives it to Adam to eat. They immediately experience a spiritual death, and it is the first time they both realize they are naked. The Genesis 3 account is known in theology as the fall of man, or original sin. On the other hand, the lie of the serpent is the original lie from Satan. Satan lied to Eve when he told her by gaining knowledge she will become a god herself. He was appealing to her pride, offering her a god status if she did what he really wanted her to, which was simply to rebel against God like he did. It is the same lie being told today in the occult, that acquiring more knowledge will elevate you to godliness. Knowledge is power is a term famously attributed to Francis Bacon. Francis Bacon was a 33-degree Freemason and was heavily steeped into the occult. It is fair to say that the phrase, knowledge is power, rings true, and is commonly heard these days. At face value, it has a resemblance to the scripture in the Bible found in Hosea, quote, "My people perish for lack of knowledge," end quote. And that's Hosea chapter 4, verse 6. But these are two rather different sayings that, although may appear to communicate the same thing, have in fact very different implications. For example, the purpose behind the phrase, knowledge is power, is to use knowledge to control and manipulate others, directly implying that knowledge is a powerful tool or weapon. For instance, say, my close friend and I were the only ones who knew about the solar system and understood the planetary alignments of how the moon revolves around the Earth and the Earth around the sun. And say we were the only ones who knew there was going to be an eclipse next Tuesday at midday. We could use that knowledge to manipulate others. I could say something like, "Give me all your money or else I will darken the sun on Tuesday at midday." The chances are you may not give me your money there and then, but because I know you do not hold the same knowledge as me and therefore cannot possibly understand the nature of eclipses, when Tuesday comes around and at midday I supposedly darken the sun as I predicted I would, you would probably not be able to hand over your money quick enough. As opposed to the scripture in Hosea, "My people perish for lack of knowledge," there are no manipulative undertones here. God is telling us that by having knowledge we won't suffer or perish at the hand of those who try to manipulate or lie or control us. It is meant as an encouragement for us to gain knowledge so that we do not suffer, and no way suggests that we are to lord our knowledge over others to manipulate them. Knowledge is power implies a weapon of offense, whereas "my people perish for lack of knowledge" implies a weapon of defense. Big difference. The Illuminati can be generally difficult to define, so I will stick to the basic facts to keep it as simple as I can for the sake of this presentation. The Illuminati are a secret society founded in 1776 in Bavaria, Germany by a chap called Adam Weishaupt. The word itself, Illuminati, literally means to be illuminated with knowledge, as this knowledge in turn brings light, illuminating an individual. They are deeply occultic in their beliefs and they revel in secret knowledge. Another name for Satan is Lucifer. Lucifer, which literally translates to light bearer, is more likely to be portrayed as a beautiful angel and light-giving. It is common amongst the secret societies and occultic beliefs for Lucifer to be considered as the source of everything, but especially of all light and of all knowledge. The Illuminati are 100% Luciferian in their philosophy. They sincerely believe that the serpent or the devil is the good guy in the Genesis account, and that Eve was right to eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, and that when she did become like God. Albert Pike, one of the founding fathers of Freemasonry, was himself a 33-degree Freemason. He was also a top leader in the Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. Pike, being Sovereign Grand Commander of the Scottish Rite, was a devout Luciferian. His famous works, Morals and Dogma, in 1871, is still today considered to be the handbook or study guide for the Scottish Rite within Freemasonry. This is a direct quote from Albert Pike's works, Morals and Dogma. Open quote. "Lucifer, the light-bearer, strange and mysterious name to give to the spirit of darkness. Lucifer, the son of the morning, is it he who bears the light? Doubt it not." End quote. However, the Bible contradicts this teaching. It exposes Lucifer as being Satan. Open quote. "And no wonder, for even Satan himself disguises himself as an angel of light." Close quote. The esoteric symbol to present Lucifer is traditionally the lightning bolt. This is referencing Jesus' words in Luke chapter 10 verse 18, where he says, quote, "And I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven." End quote. It is not confirmed how many people belong to the Illuminati. According to a credible ex-Illuminati member known as Savali, they make up approximately 1% of the population. They consist of 13 bloodlines. That is to say, you are either born into the order or you're not. So if you hear Lady Gaga is the Illuminati, it is unlikely that she is in the bloodline and actually a part of the Illuminati order. It is more likely the case she has been recruited by them to promote their agenda and help them indoctrinate the next generation. Lady Gaga is just one of the many music artists who have openly sold their soul to the industry in exchange for fame and fortune, hence why her debut album is titled The Fame Monster. The 13 bloodlines of the Illuminati make up the world's elite. They are the head of the banking systems. They are the think tanks of the world, the political groups, the educational groups. They own all mainstream media channels, and their main agenda is simple: world domination, commonly called the New World Order. They want one global village of which they control. They see us, the general public, the masses, as nothing more than a bewildered herd or cattle. Their nickname for us, the people, is the sheeple. The Rockefellers are one of the more commonly known Illuminati families, and David Rockefeller, currently the patriarch of the Rockefeller family, is an American banker and philanthropist. Not just any American banker, mind you. He, along with the Rothschilds, another Illuminati bloodline, between these two families own the entire financial banking system and thus solely control the Federal Reserve, the Rockefellers controlling America and the Rothschilds covering the finances and banks in Europe. David Rockefeller is also the founder of the Council of Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Commission. Both of these political groups basically get together to discuss foreign policy and ultimately are responsible for deciding the future of the world, which again and again the same theme emerges: a new world order, and he makes no secret of this. David Rockefeller is quoted in his book Memoirs as saying, quote, "Some even believe we are part of a secret cabal working against the best interests of the United States, characterizing my family and me as internationalists, and of conspiring with others around the world to build a more integrated global political and economic structure, one world, if you will. If that's the charge, I stand guilty, and I'm proud of it." I need to move on, but if you are interested in more information about the New World Order and the Illuminati's agenda, how they plan to achieve world domination, check out the Georgia Guidestones. This is a monument erected in Elbert County, Georgia, which has their agenda engraved in their own words on each side of the 4 stone slabs in a different language. There are 10 guides, or commandments if you will, openly outlining their intentions, how they intend to reduce the world population over 80% from 7 billion down to just 500 million, and bring about a new one world religion, or universal spirituality. This monument is generally shrouded with mystery, but the engraved tribute found next to it is a big clue. It has inscribed, "Let these be guidestones to an age of reason." The Age of Reason is a book written by Thomas Paine in 1794. Its intent was to destroy the Judeo-Christian beliefs upon which the American Republic was founded. I should issue a warning at this point that this is all pretty disturbing and very serious, and it's very much out there if you want to look further into it. It's all there, hiding in plain sight. Okay, so let's move on and look at the esoteric symbols the Illuminati use to represent themselves and how they are very much present in today's culture. One of the main symbols is the all-seeing eye of Lucifer, which is referencing that we are under constant surveillance. The all-seeing eye of Lucifer is sometimes known as the Eye of Providence, which is commonly found on the $1 bill. If we take a moment to focus on the dollar bill, you can see a 13-layer pyramid with the capstone disjointed or elevated, and inside the capstone, the all-seeing eye. Numerology is very important amongst the occult and secret societies, and they take it very seriously. It is not a coincidence that this pyramid has 13 layers, or for example that Madonna walked down 13 steps at the Super Bowl opening. The number 13 in the occult symbolizes rebirth, transformation, or renewal. For example, there are 12 signs in the zodiac that complete a yearly cycle. The next zodiac sign in sequence would be number 13, or number 1, as it becomes a new beginning of the next cycle. New beginnings, or rebirth, are also represented by a phoenix. Bear that in mind in today's culture. When you see the number 13 or phoenixes, the esoteric message conveyed is support for the New World Order. Above the top of the pyramid, written in Latin, are the two words comprised of 13 letters, annuit coeptis. Annuit means to nod, favour, approve, and coeptis means commencement or undertakings. This is referencing the all-seeing eye of Lucifer and literally translates to, he approves of our undertakings. Under the pyramid, written in Latin, are the words Novus Ordo Seclorum, which translates to the New World Order. The Roman numerals are 1776, the year of independence that so happens to be the same year Adam Weishaupt officially established the Illuminati Society. The US $1 bill is in fact loaded with esoteric symbols. If you would like to decode all the symbols and understand how it was put together, why and by who, check out this film available for free on YouTube called The Eye of the Phoenix, Secrets of the Dollar Bill. Okay, so moving on, the all-seeing eye, or Eye of Providence, is traditionally known as the Eye of Horus. It's worth taking a moment to look at Horus, as he is frequently referenced in the music and movie industry as well as in the fashion industry. This quote is taken from the Dictionary of the Occult. Open quote. Horus's father was Osiris and mother was Isis. He was called Horus, who ruled with two eyes. His right eye was white and represented the sun. His left eye was black and represented the moon. According to the myth, Horus lost his left eye to his evil brother Set, who he fought to avenge Set's murder of Osiris. Set tore out Horus's left eye but lost the fight. The eye was reassembled by magic, by Thoth, the god of writing, the moon and magic. Horus presented his eye to Osiris, who experienced rebirth in the underworld. End quote. One-eye symbolism is everywhere in the fashion and the music industry, and I do mean everywhere.
Yo, y'all can't handle the truth in a courtroom of lies. Purges the jurors, witnesses, spies. Crooked lawyers, false indictments publicized. It's entertainment, the arraignments, the subpoenas. High-profile gladiators in bloodthirsty arenas. Enter the dragon, black robe, crooked balance. Souls bought and sold and paroled for 30 talents. Court reporter, catch the circus on a paper. File it in the system, not acknowledged by the maker. Swearing by the Bible, blatantly blasphemous. Publicly perpetrating that in God we trust. Cross-examined by a master manipulator, the faster intimidator, receiving the judge's favor. Deceiving sabers, doing injury to their neighbors. For status, gratis apparatus, and legal waivers. See the bailiff, representing security. Holding the word of God, soliciting perjury. The prosecution, political prostitution. The more money you pay, the further away solution. Legal actors, Babylon's benefactors. Masquerading as the agency for the clients. Hypocritical giants, morally non-compliant. Orally armed to do bodily harm. Polluted, recruited, and suited judicial charm. And the defense isn't making any sense. Faking the confidence of escaping the consequence. That a defendant is dependent on the system. Totally void of judgment, purposely made to twist them. Emotional victim, blackmailed by the henchmen. Framed by intentions, inventions whereby they lynchmen. Into the false witness, slandering the accused. Planting the seed, openly showing he's being used. To discredit, edit, headed for the alleged. Smearing the individual, fearing the unsuspected. Expert witness, the paid authority. Made a priority to deceive the majority of disinterested peers, dodging duty for years, hating the process, waiting to return to their careers. Do we expect a system made for the elect to possibly judge correct, properly serve and protect, materially corrupt, spiritually amok, oblivious to the cause, prosperously bankrupt, blind leading the blind, guilty never defined, filthy as swine, a generation pure in its own mind, legal extortion, blown out of proportion, in vain deceit, the truth is obsolete. Only two positions, victimizer or victim. Both end up in destruction, trusting this crooked system. Mafia with diplomas, keeping us in a coma, trying to own a piece of the American corona. The revolving door, insanity every floor. Skyscraping, paper chasing, what are we working for? Empty traditions, reaching social position, teaching ambition to support the family superstition. When the son of perdition is commander-in-chief, the standard is thief. Brethren, can we candidly speak? Woe to the men, trusting in the chariots, them leaning on horses. They run their intellectual sources, counterfeit wisdom, creating the illusion of freedom. Confusion consumes them. Every word they speak, it then turns them outwardly white. Internally, they absent the light, them trapped in the night, in bondage to the cane of the night, under the curse. Evil men waxing more worse, facts in the first. Angelic being cast to the earth. It's time for rebirth, burning up the branch and the root. The empty pursuits of every tree bearing the wrong fruit. Turn and be healed. Let him who stole no longer steal. Oh, Israel, surrender for Jehovah is real. How long will you sleep? Troubled by the thoughts that you keep, the idols you heap, causing the destruction you reap. Judgment is come, find it and return to the one. Abandon the flesh, self-interest, Broadway to death, pride and the greed, hiding, subdividing the seed. The knowledge of good and evil is what caused us to lie, caused us to die. Let your emotions be crucified, renounce all your thoughts, repent and let your mind be retaught. You find what you sought was based on a deception you bought, a perception of naught where the majority remains caught. Loving a lie, not realizing an atom or die. Loving a lie, not realizing an atom or die. Loving a lie, not realizing an atom or die. Loving a lie, not realizing an atom or die. It's the mystery of iniquity. That is the history of iniquity. That is the misery of iniquity. Oh, and it all falls down. I'm telling you all, it all falls down.
Pyramids are another blatant symbol of the Illuminati. There are many levels to the meaning of pyramids. On the first level, they are a tribute to Egyptology. The occult and Egyptology kind of go hand in hand. According to the Bible, Egypt is a symbol of being in spiritual bondage, living in sin, and generally synonymous with caring for the things of this world, such as riches, or indulging in the lusts of the flesh. God was not pleased with the ways of Egypt and the idol worship and pagan practices that were going on there. This is the part in the book of Exodus where God helps Moses lead the Hebrews out of slavery, delivering them from the bondage of being under Pharaoh's rule. Pharaoh represents man's pride and ego, which again links back to Lucifer, who became Satan when he was cast out of heaven for becoming prideful and thinking he could overthrow God. When you see an upside down or inverted pyramid, again you're looking at an esoteric symbol. The meaning being it represents the female principle or feminine energy. This is because an upside down pyramid is supposed to resemble the shape of a womb. For example, here is an upside down pyramid in a tree on a children's show on CBeebies. Now that we know this is an esoteric symbol of a womb, it is easy to see that the branches on this tree represent ovaries and fallopian tubes, and the door at the base of the trunk symbolises the vaginal passage. This symbology is of further interest when we find out that this show is called Ra-Ra, the noisy lion, and Ra is another name for Horus, the sun god in Egyptology. On the other hand, when the pyramid is upright, it is symbolic of the male principle, masculine energy, symbolising the male phallus. The 6-point star is in fact the upright pyramid and upside down pyramid laid over each other. This hexagram is also called the Star of David, but there is no biblical or Jewish evidence that traces this ancient occult symbol with King David of Israel. However, there is evidence that it was used by King Solomon after he turned to pagan gods and the occult later in his life. The 6-pointed star is used in ceremonies by magicians and alchemists and is considered a powerful symbol among occultists, and perhaps why the Illuminati ensure that pyramids are prevalent in the music and the fashion industry.
As we move forward, anytime you come closer to something, your vision should get clearer.
Satanic symbols are prevalent in today's culture, but like the Illuminati symbols, more often than not, people are just not aware of what they're looking at. A bog-standard satanic symbol is the upward-facing 5-point star known as the pentagram. Each of the 5 points represents one of the elements, and this star inside a circle is used in satanic practices and witchcraft for summoning demons and ritual sacrifices. These rituals take place within the star, which is within the circle, as they believe that the energy or demons they sum up are attracted to the symbol and when summoned will remain within the circle. Sometimes the 5-point star is inverted with a goat head inside. The goat head is also referred to as the goat of Mendes or the sabbatical goat. In astrology, the 10th sign of the zodiac, Capricorn, is represented by the leaping goat, whose greatest attribute is liberty or rebellion. In tarot cards, the goat card is also known as the Baphomet and is the devil card. Baphomet was first created by the Satanist Eliphas Levi and is considered a satanic deity today. His image is a clear depiction of the occultic theme of duality. This image represents heaven and hell, night and day, male and female. Here you see him as having a human body, which is male from the waist down, having an erect penis, and female from the waist up, having breasts, and topped with a goat's head. With his right hand pointing upwards towards a white crescent moon, and his left hand pointing downwards towards a black crescent moon, occultists are supposed to follow the left-handed path that points downwards towards hell. This again is the opposite to Christianity, where according to the Bible, Jesus is called the right hand of God, and as Christians we are to follow Jesus, which in doing so leads us upwards towards heaven. We see Lady Gaga often posing as Baphomet, and here quite blatantly. Notice her left eye is closed and she is holding it in her left hand. There is no doubt that this is a tribute to the left eye of Horus that was plucked out. Also notice the white doves that are flying the downward path to hell towards her left hand. Again, this is very provocative imagery, as a white dove in the Bible is a symbol of the Holy Spirit.
You are a tool and the hidden hand is using you. Please don't be delusional. The rulers of this world practice confusing you. The people and the priests and the imams have been jammed by government scams, minds systematically programmed. Blatant black hatred and racism, the way they lace the whole world and nation with traces of Satanism. This place is a pagan prison. The founding fathers' enslaving intentions were no different than Bush's and Reagan's visions. 1776 it took action. This Illuminati took form and was spawned from a Colombian faction. Just flip your $1 bill over, and if you want me to expose the true code of deception, I will show you. We live in a designed wicked system. The number 13 is consistent in Masonic symbolism. It represents transformation. 12 completes a cycle, so 13 is rebirth and regeneration. The meanings of the symbol are strategically hid. On the left side you see a 13-layered pyramid. Over that sits the all-seeing eye where the light shines, a sign of the devil watching over you at all times.
Another important element to mention regarding the principle of duality depicted in the Baphomet image is the occultic saying, as above, so below. This very common occult expression means many things to different people. Some relate it to astrology, that the stars above are a reflection in the events on the earth. Some suggest that it means that God is like man and man is like God. It has also been suggested that these words are an expression of Satan's desire to establish his rule upon the earth as a reflection of his present rule among the fallen angels. Look at the similarities between Britney Spears' advert for her perfume and the great symbol of Solomon. The principle of duality is covertly being communicated. Once you know the reference, it isn't difficult to understand the esoteric message of this perfume campaign. At this point, it might be worth mentioning that in the Message version of the Bible, the part of the Lord's Prayer where it says, "Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven," has been rather badly translated as, quote, "as above, so below." The listener can make what they want of that information regarding the integrity of the Message version of the Holy Bible. Lady Gaga's perfume campaign is also worth a mention. It's called Fame and is the first black liquid for perfume that becomes transparent as soon as it's airborne. She insisted she wanted it to be black fluid to celebrate the dark, evil side of fame. The composition of the perfume itself actually contains ingredients used in ancient witchcraft and sex magic rituals. Lady Gaga wanted her perfume to include blood and semen. Open quote. While the perfume was based on the molecular structure of the two substances, it would not smell of them. Close quote. She further explained that the blood element was based on a sample of her own blood molecules to create a, quote, sense of having me on your skin, end quote. Turn the bottle upside down. Does the gold lid remind you of anything?
Obviously the new perfume that you're releasing. Now, we did hear that it's going to smell of blood and semen. Is that true? Will it actually smell like that?
No. Well, let me explain. Actually, the perfume smells like an expensive hooker.
Okay.
But I did use, in terms of the process of creating the perfume, I wanted to extract sort of the feeling and the sense of blood and semen from molecular structures. So that's where that came from. And that is in the perfume, but doesn't smell like it. You just get that sort of the after feeling of sex from the semen, and then the blood is sort of primal, and it was taken out of my own blood sample. So it's like a sense of having me on your skin.
Fantastic. Very creative, very different.
A common tribute to Baphomet is the horned hand sign. The esoteric meaning to this, put simply, is Hail Satan. Yes, rock stars do it, often with their tongues hanging out, but pretty much everyone and anyone in an influential position are doing it, whether they are collecting awards, caught by the paparazzi, performing on stage, at a political rally, or addressing the crowd. Yes, even the Pope does the horned hand sign. I'm just going to pause for a second, as this begs the question, why is the Pope saying with his hands, Hail Satan? I don't want to upset people here, but the truth needs to be told, and by doing just a little research, it is easy to expose the Vatican as being heavily steeped with paganism and the occult. Let me be clear, I'm not saying that Catholics are Satanists, just like not all churchgoers are Christian. On the contrary, there is no doubt that there are sincere Christians within the Catholic Church who love God. But what I am saying, for the record no less, is that the Vatican per se and the foundations of the Catholic Church as a whole have been merged with pagan traditions and has been riddled with occultic references and symbols from the beginning of its establishment. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, here is another popular hand sign. The exoteric meaning, the external or outward meaning being communicated by this hand sign is everything is okay. The esoteric meaning to this hand sign is the opposite. It is in fact the 666. The 3 fingers extended represent that there are 3 sixes. This fashion shoot of model Coco Rocha was in the New York Times. The first shot is glamorizing self-mutilation, the second shot devil horns, and the third shot one-eye symbolism and the 666 sign. The title of the article? Expanding her efforts to become a role model. The brand All Saints is an interesting one. I took this photo when shopping in Bluewater. I noticed above both entrances is a Baphomet. This is also the brand's signature logo. This isn't surprising when you learn that the owner of the store is a self-proclaimed Satanist and is open about giving money to the Church of Satan. This is clearly reflected in All Saints fashion. This All Saints t-shirt is of a skeleton knelt down carrying an upside-down pyramid on his back, maybe symbolising submission to the occult, or submitting to the elite, or the New World Order. Being a skeleton represents death. There's going to be more on skeletons a bit later. This All Saints t-shirt is of a large crucifix. In the centre of the cross is a goat head, and written across the top are the words "Abandon ship." Is this meant to be a way of saying abandon Christianity? This All Saints t-shirt is heavily satanic. it has an upright pentagram inside an inverted pentagram, which is inside a circle. Remember, when the pentagram is in a circle, it is a tribute to practicing satanic rituals. In theology, the single number 7 represents God, or perfection, or completion, and on this t-shirt it has written 777 within the circle, as in 666, which is mocking Christianity again. Around all this pentagram and circle action are horned ram skulls. There is no debate that this t-shirt is communicating satanic messages, but there is debate whether people who buy these t-shirts have a clue of what they are spending their money on and what, or perhaps who, they are representing by wearing it. That all being said, this is one ugly looking t-shirt. Have you noticed owls everywhere? The Illuminati like to use owls to represent themselves for a few reasons. Firstly, owls, as a symbol, have the exoteric meaning of being wise, and thus fit the Illuminati's agenda with promoting the occult philosophy for acquiring knowledge. Secondly, owls are also considered to have all-seeing eyes, because they have binocular vision and hunt in the dark. And because they can turn their heads 270 degrees in any direction, they don't have any blind spots. These physical attributes of owls support the Illuminati's obsession with the all-seeing eye of Lucifer. Look closely at this t-shirt. Firstly, it has twin owls. Twin images and mirror reflection images have an esoteric meaning of their own, which I will address a bit later. I'm just mentioning it now so it can be noted that there are depths of symbolism going on here. Now scroll your eyes down towards the bottom. There are 4 pentagrams. Can you see them? But there is also a far deeper and more sinister meaning to why the Illuminati promote owl imagery. There is an ancient pagan god called Molech, who is often represented as the owl man or owl god. He is the god of human sacrifice. Molech is just one of the many pagan gods and is mentioned in many ancient texts, including the Bible. In Leviticus chapter 18:21, it says, "And thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire to Molech." You see, Molech was worshipped by the Canaanites and Israelites as well as other cultures, and they would make human sacrifices, even burning newborn babies alive to Molech. Depending upon the seriousness of the blessing desired, the greater the sacrifices needed to be to Molech. To sum up Molech, he is the god of fire or of human sacrifice, and unfortunately Molech is not only limited to ancient times, but is still very much revered today. We can see Molech all around our modern society, including government, religions, corporations, and financial institutions. Bohemian Grove is a woodland in California. It belongs to a private San Francisco-based men's art club known as the Bohemian Club. For over 128 years, in mid-July each year, the Bohemian Grove hosts a 2-week, 3-weekend encampment of some of the most powerful men in the world. The Bohemian Club is an all-male membership, includes artists, particularly musicians, as well as many prominent business leaders, government officials, including US presidents, senior media executives, and people of power. The club motto is, "Weaving spiders come not here," which implies that outside concerns and business deals are to be left outside. Important political and business deals have been developed at the Grove. The Grove is particularly famous for a Manhattan Project planning in September 1942, which subsequently led to the atomic bomb. In July 2000, Alex Jones, an American radio host whose show is based in Texas, infiltrated the Bohemian Grove and took 2 hidden cameras. What he discovered there was a 40-foot stone owl in the heart of the woodland. A large fire was burning before it, and the political leaders of the world were dressed in what is reminiscent of KKK attire. There was a human figure that was sacrificed on this fire, and there is some debate as to whether this is a real human being or a human effigy used to symbolize a human sacrifice. I'm not sure which is the case, but I prefer to refer to it as a mock human sacrifice. This ritual is called the cremation of care and is very symbolic of the world's leaders, the world's elite, sacrificing their conscience, or their care if you will, so that they can go ahead and make unethical decisions without any care, without their conscience troubling them. You can clearly hear them chanting, "Begone, dull care," as they sacrifice the human effigy on the fire. You can watch the full documentary for free on YouTube called "The Dark Secrets Inside Bohemian Grove" by Alex Jones. Here's a clip of Alex Jones interviewing Congressman David Gergen, who is a member of the Bohemian Grove.
In the fall of 2004, while in New York to cover the Republican National Convention, we ran into David Gergen, the Karl Rove of 4 presidential administrations.
Okay, one last question. I read a Washington Times article many years ago where you had a comment about the organization, and then now it's been in the Wall Street Journal, it's been in a lot of different newspapers, and that's the Bohemian Grove. And back in, 1996, when you joined as a Clinton advisor, the Republicans were criticizing you. Oh, what about Bohemian Grove? And then you countered them by saying, "Hey, I don't run around in the woods naked." What did that mean?
Here is the before-mentioned Washington Times article where he said, "I didn't run around naked like they do."
I don't know what quote you're referring to. I'm not aware of any quote like that. Listen, I am a happy member of the Bohemian Grove. I like the folks who come there, and it's really inappropriate for me to talk about the group beyond that. Thank you.
Have you been there for the ceremony with the cremation of care?
Frankly, I don't think that's something I need to talk to you about.
Really?
That's right.
Well, I'm Alex Jones, and I snuck in there in 2000. I'm the guy that blew it wide open and got the video, and it's been on national TV.
Well, I disrespect you for that.
You do?
I do.
But it's a lot of big public officials going in there. Don't we deserve to know?
I don't know anything about you, and I don't know anything about your film. But if you go in there with an understanding, you violated that understanding by releasing that film, and I don't respect you for that.
Really? But we have public officials.
I'm sorry. You took an understanding when you went in there that you would not do that film. And did you have an understanding when you went in there?
No.
Did you crash it?
Yes.
Yeah, and it has no trespassing signs there too, doesn't it?
No, they put them up after.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just walked in.
I'm sorry, sir. I've been there before. I know what the circumstances are, and I'm sorry you violated the understandings. That was not a gentlemanly thing to do.
But what about the ritual? Is the ritual genuinely?
Sir, everything. I don't owe you this comment.
I know. I appreciate it.
This is what's called ambush journalism, and I disrespect you for that as well. So thank you
ever
and goodbye.
been in the ritual?
It's none of your damn business.
Oh.
That's right. Listen. You go around and make understandings with people and violate them. You ambush people on the streets, and that's inappropriate form of journalism. If you wish to practice that, that's fine, but don't ask others to respect you for it. If you want to, you can do. You're a free American, like anything you want. If you want to be uncivil and rude and ungentlemanly, that's up to you. But don't expect the rest of us to say, "Oh well, you're
there, Mr. Gergen."
I'm sorry, nobody sets policy in there. We try to be gentlemen, and obviously, you don't belong there.
Weaving spiders come out here. Yeah, that is a 3-pointer. Woo! Look how strangely he behaved when we brought it up. Why is he acting so secretive? And why did he get so angry when he discovered that we'd snuck in? You see, they take it very, very seriously. This is one of the hallmarks of the occult and secret societies. The word occult means secret. Secrecy is part of their religion. They revel in it. And when it's violated, they become extremely angry.
Before we move on from Moloch being covertly present in today's culture, let's take a brief look at a few of L'Oreal's advertising campaigns. First we see Scarlett Johansson doing the one eye thing. Okay, by now this is no shock, but maybe you're still adamant that this is just a coincidence. I mean, do the marketing team behind the L'Oreal Corporation know exactly what they're doing? Let's look at another advert. In this advert you can see the one eye, but if you look into the eye you can see that her pupil is actually an image of an owl sitting on a branch. Here we see the packaging box for hair dye. Notice the number of this colour is 6.66, also known as the number of the beast. Oh, and the colour happens to be fiery red. Oh, and the name of this fiery red 666 colour hair dye is Babylon. Babylon, which is an ancient city, is closely linked to the occult. Amongst occult beliefs and secret societies, it is sometimes referred to as Mystery Babylon. For example, in the secret society of Freemasonry, they teach to their initiates the secrets of their religion known as Mystery Babylon. In the last book of the Bible, Revelation, which is about the end times of this earth, Armageddon, the one world government, the rise of the Antichrist, and the mark of the beast, etc., Babylon is described in two ways. The first way is in chapter 17, where it is described as a false religion. It is described in its mystery form as a religious system or spiritual false worship. However, in chapter 18, Babylon is described as an actual place, making reference to its political and commercial system embodied in an actual city. The word Babylon literally translates to the place of confusion, and on today's map is called Iraq. So why does the Illuminati go to so much effort to hide messages in plain sight and communicate through esoteric symbols? And if we, the general public, do not even understand what we're looking at, then what's the harm anyway? What we don't know won't hurt us, right? Actually, no, that's wrong. There is masses of empirical research that proves we process all these symbols and messages. Every single one is processed on a subconscious level. You see, our conscious mind, which is always busy trying to make meaningful sense of everything we see and hear, is limited as to how much it can process, as too much information would result in overload. However, our subconscious mind is constantly collecting and storing all information, especially that which our conscious mind is unable to process immediately. The word subliminal is defined as existing or operating below the threshold of consciousness, and subliminal messages are specifically designed to influence our mental processes and behaviour. Our society is shaped by our morals and beliefs, and our morals and beliefs are influenced by what we watch, read and hear. What has become acceptable in society today and not given a second thought would have been rated 18 or triple XXX 20 years ago. With a subtle but steady decline in our standards of sex and violence presented by the mass media in our music, movies and video games, there is little that shocks or offends us anymore as we are so desensitized. It's a wonder how much exposure to depraved lyrics and images it takes until we feel a sense of moral conviction stimulated within our hearts. Our subconscious is being constantly bombarded from all angles with images of sex, violence and occult themes and practices. It is through our subconscious state that we are able to absorb all information without resistance, as our brains are in a passive mode and more susceptible. You see, our brains fire different wavelengths depending on what we're doing. For now, we will just take a quick look at alpha and beta brain waves. Alpha waves are associated with relaxed states. It is during this state that the brain is susceptible to suggestibility. Beta waves, on the other hand, are higher active waves and are associated with active logical thought. We are better capable of critically thinking and evaluating when our brains are in beta waves. However, when we switch on the TV and start watching, our brains almost instantly start firing alpha waves. There has been many experiments that demonstrate just how susceptible our subconscious state is, and that prove that what we absorb into our subconscious affects our attitudes and behaviour. Skulls and skeletons are everywhere at the moment, and if you think skulls on clothes were meant to be for boys dressed as pirates or gothics, think again. You can find skulls just for you, whatever your style may be. There's skull vests, skull cardigans, skull scarves, skull t-shirts, skulls with roses, skulls with lace, skulls with flowers, colourful skulls, half-price skulls, skulls with studs, skulls with heart-shaped eyes and noses, skulls with flowers in their hair, skull jewellery, skulls for babies, skull shoes, skull cushions, skull wallets, skull bags. Here's some more skull fashion.
But feel a rising up within me. It's taking over my life, making me feel so dizzy, making me look at the news as if it's one big conspiracy. I see the truth and I feel the lies, but so many different views and so many different eyes make us paralyzed. We're also hypnotized from all the fluorides and chemtrails up in the skies.
They wanna dumb us down just because they're scared of us. They know that if we band together we could rise above. They feed us lies on the telly cause so many trust that the UN's agenda actually cares about us. But I know better, you see it's all about to end. It's a worldwide suicide fashion trend. We wanna look pretty and we wanna all pretend, but the truth is something nobody can comprehend.
That's right.
I'm still in bed cause the world is cold. Everything is a daze to me, so I fly into outer space. The moon above is a healthy glow. I'm flying over the streets I know, and everything that I used to see has gone to another place. The sun comes up but my head is low. I'm still in bed cause the world is cold. Everything is a daze to me, so I fly into outer space. The moon above is a healthy glow. I'm flying over the streets I know, and everything that I used to see has gone to another place.
Look closely at this top covered in skulls. Can you see Baphomet decoded in this pattern? This t-shirt from a distance just looks like another big skull, but if we take a bit of time to focus on this t-shirt, you will see that it is in fact loaded with esoteric symbols. Firstly, the eyes are made of two owls. The nose is reminiscent of a star, particularly the Star of Bethlehem. The teeth are in fact 4 horses riding on clouds. 4 horses are a direct reference to the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse mentioned in Revelation, and in English literature is always a reference to impending doom and destruction. For example, the renowned atheists Richard Dawkins, Christopher Hitchens, Sam Harris and Daniel Dennett call themselves the 4 horsemen, as their agenda is bringing down all religions. In addition, this t-shirt also has a striking resemblance to the Shroud of Turin. There is little question that the designers of this t-shirt are either subliminally or blatantly attempting to demonize Christ by this gross caricature. Skulls and skeletons are not only a tribute to celebrating death culture in society, they are also a salutation to the secret society established in 1832 at Yale University, which is called the Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones consists of all elite male members, and every year they recruit 15 new members. They meet in a place that has been nicknamed the Tomb, which is next to Yale campus. Their initiation rituals are satanic. The initiate first declares their worship to Eulogia, the pagan goddess of eloquence. The initiate is then escorted into the inner temple, which is called Room 322, to sign his name to an oath of secrecy. The initiate is then brought before a picture of Judas Iscariot, whose name the group screams 3 times, and then he is led to the heart of the rite, where the initiate is pushed to his knees before a human skull filled with blood placed at the foot of a human skeleton. The initiate is made to drink the blood. This perhaps sounds far-fetched on first hearing it, but in fact they boast of their sick practices in plain sight. Look at Kesha on stage in front of her fans. This is not a random crazy pop star act. She is, like others, a puppet for the elite. Again, they revel to hide in plain sight what is really going on behind secret doors. The agenda of the Skull and Bones Society is simple: to create a new world order that restricts individual freedoms and places ultimate power solely in the hands of a small cult of wealthy, prominent families. Anyone fancy this t-shirt promoting the elite suite? Or this t-shirt from Zara which says "nothing to say about Skull and Bones," and then in tiny print all around it says "Skull and Bones do not exist." Here's a quick clip of George Bush and John Kerry admitting that they are part of the Skull and Bones.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go
I'm
wild.
sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number 322?
First of all, he's not the nominee. And, look, I look forward...
Are you prepared to lose?
No, I'm not going to lose.
You both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us?
Not much, because it's a secret.
Is there a secret handshake? Is there a secret code?
I wish there were something secret I could manifest.
322, a secret number?
There are all kinds of secrets, Tim, but one thing is not a secret. I disagree with this president's direction that he's taking the country. We can do a better job, and I intend to do it.
And we'll be watching. Be safe on the campaign trail. John Kerry, thanks for joining us. And we'll be right back.
This is a photo of the group. It is believed that the skull and bones on the table belonged to the famous Apache Indian Geronimo. Prescott Bush bragged about digging up his grave with 5 other bonesmen and stealing his skull and femur bones. Notice also this chap on the far left. He has one hand hidden in his coat. This is a secret Masonic hand sign that many famous and influential men have posed for in photos and portraits. What does this mean? Simply put, all of these men who have contributed massively into shaping our history and today's culture were Masonic. Here is Paris Hilton's boyfriend, River Vibhari, in a photo shoot. With one hand he is doing the Masonic sign of the hidden hand, and with the other hand he is hiding one eye. According to the Mystery Babylon religion, swallows are considered a sacred bird and are a symbol of the Egyptian goddess Isis, mother of Horus. The Egyptians identified the swallow with the transfigured souls of the dead. Isis was said to have transformed into the form of a swallow to fly to Byblos to grieve Osiris' death. Isis is absolutely revered in occultic circles, and again we see her referenced in today's culture. The cross is a reference to Jesus' crucifixion at Golgotha in Calvary approximately 2,000 years ago. This is the heartbeat of the Christian faith. It is because of Jesus' death and resurrection we can receive salvation. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. The crucifixes that are everywhere are an attempt to cheapen its true significant value. The bigger the cross, the bigger the mock. The use of the cross in rock music videos paired with images of sexual immorality is to corrupt its sacredness, to the point it represents rebellion and controversy rather than Christian faith. To the Satanist, the cross is a symbol of pain, execution, and evil's victory over good. A self-professed son of Satan put it like this, open quote, "We wear it for satirical reasons and because it pisses off Christians," close quote. To the fashionista and atheist, the cross is just an accessory. The scriptures say, "The message of the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, but to us who are saved it is the power of God." That's 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 18. For example, Ozzy Osbourne has been called the godfather of heavy metal, while he prefers to call himself the Prince of Darkness, yet you often see him wearing large crucifixes. Wearing a crucifix doesn't make someone any more of a Christian than wearing a white coat makes them a doctor. An inverted cross is generally a sure sign of worshipping Satan. There are many people who will resist the New World Order and fight against it. In order to achieve world dominance, there will be a new world army. Martial law is detestable. Who wants police patrolling our streets day in and day out, enforcing curfews, restricting our freedom of speech, of thought? This quote is by Brock Chisholm, director of the UN Health Organization from 1948 to 1953. Open quote. "To achieve world government, it is necessary to remove from the minds of men their individualism, loyalty to family traditions, national patriotism, and religious dogmas." End quote. To help try and indoctrinate this generation and the next in accepting a police state so they can enforce a New World Order, military clothes are very much in fashion. It is common to see successful pop acts with riot police as backing dancers, as well as the sexualization of gun and military weapons in photo shoots and music videos. The agenda here is simply to glamorize a police state. Check out this photo shoot focusing on police brutality, trying to make it a sexual experience being humiliated and strip-searched at airports. Here we see a policeman standing on this model's neck with his truncheon pressed on her chest. But hey, never mind he's about to break her neck on the curb. Check out her gorgeous dress. There is an obvious increase in violent and bloody fashion shoots. Here we see Justin Bieber hiding one eye with a slab of meat. In the same shoot, we see him getting beaten up by some unknown guy. While some can't help but admit they might find this image to be slightly satisfying, it still goes with this new trend of showing people being violently abused in photo shoots.
Brothers and sisters, I don't know what this world is coming to.
Yes, the rhythm, the rebel. Without a pause, I'm lowering my level. The hard rhymer, where you never been, I'm in. You want styling? You know it's time again. D, the enemy, telling you to hear it. They praise the music, it's time to play the lyrics. Some say no to the album, the show. Bum rush the sound. I made a year ago. I guess you know. You guess I'm just a radical. Not on sabbatical, yes, to make it critical. The only part of your body should be partying too. Pass the power on the hour from the rebel to you.
Hey, yo, Chuck, man, I don't understand this, man. Yo, you got to slow down, man. You're losing them.
Radio, suckers never play me. All the mix, they just okay me now. Known and grown. When the clock in my zone is known, sneaking and taking everything that the brother owns. My calling card, recorded and ordered. Supporter of Chesimard, loud and proud. Kicking live, next poet supreme. Loop but true, bazooka, the scheme. Flavor, a rebel in his own mind. Supporter of my rhymes, designed to scatter a line of suckers who claim I do crime. They are my time, dig it.
Hey, yo, Chuck, they think we taking short. Show them this is Cold Medina, man. Come on, kick it.
Terminator X. Terminator X. Terminator X.
Apparently, Mickey Mouse fashion is not just for kids, but is being referenced over and over again in music videos and the fashion industry. Walt Disney was a 33-degree Freemason and an Illuminist. That is to say, he was born into the Illuminati bloodline. Disney was hired by the government and also part of the CIA. He produced numerous propaganda films and grew up in an abusive home and was himself a racist and a noted sexual pervert. Disney was part of the CIA's MK Ultra program. Many of his productions deliberately contained mind control triggers and symbolism. When you see Mickey Mouse ears on celebrities and Walt Disney fashion aimed at adults, it is always referencing the same thing: mind control. This is a photo of the Mouseketeers. You can see a young Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Justin Timberlake and Ryan Gosling here. Here is Lady Gaga wearing huge Mickey Mouse ears at a tribute night to Michael Jackson. Why are these artists mocking MJ by linking him to Mickey Mouse? Maybe they are mocking the fact that he was also a mind control victim of the music industry for years. Here is a rather creepy photo shoot of Amy Winehouse shortly before she died. You can see her lying dead on the floor due to a bullet to her brain. It appears she has taken off her Mickey Mouse mask beforehand, and there is also an apple sitting in her blood on the floor. Notice there is no bite taken from the apple. Perhaps the photo is trying to tell us that she was killed because she refused to opt into representing the occult by not eating of the fruit, and she was also refusing to be another mind control victim for the music industry, which is being symbolized by her not wearing her Mickey Mouse mask.
Veio até mim quem deixou me olhar assim. Não pediu minha permissão, não pude evitar, tirou meu ar, fiquei sem chão.
The fashion industry tries really hard to try and make mind control sexy and desirable. The sick thing is that in order to obtain mind control over someone, the victim needs to be traumatized and broken down so that the abuser becomes their handler and the victim becomes their slave. This is one sadistic nurse with no emotion whatsoever. And would you agree this model looks pretty traumatized? I mean, seriously, what does all this have to do with clothes? Monarch programming is a method of mind control used by numerous organisations for covert purposes. It is a continuation of Project MKUltra, a mind control program developed by the CIA and tested on the military and civilians. The methods are astonishingly sadistic. Its entire purpose is to traumatise the victim, and the expected results are horrifying. The creation of a mind-controlled slave who can be triggered at any time to perform any action required by the handler. While mass media ignores this issue, over 2 million Americans have gone through the horrors of this program. The main objective is for the victim to follow directives with no conscious awareness, including carrying out any acts, even if they are in clear violation of the victim's moral principles or spiritual conviction. There are different types of programming when a victim is undergoing trauma-based mind control. I will briefly cover one type known as beta programming. This is also referred to as sexual programming. Where you see animal print, the esoteric meaning is 100% sexualized. MKUltra beta sex kittens are told by their programmers they have hearts of stone and are programmed for anything, anytime, anywhere, with anyone. The purpose of sexual programming is to eliminate all learned moral convictions and to stimulate the primitive sexual instinct so that the victim is devoid of inhibitions. The main principle of the Monarch program is to rely on the victim's innate survival instinct. Our brain, in order to protect us when we're going through extreme trauma, has the amazing ability to disconnect from reality if what we are experiencing is too traumatic to process. The disconnecting that takes place is formally known as dissociating from the core personality because a completely new personality has been created by the brain in order to protect the core personality from breaking down. This new personality is formally known as an alter and can have its own name, gender, age, handwriting, even 5 completely different brain patterns. At a later time, when the coast is clear, so to speak, and we are in a safe and secure environment again, it becomes possible to revisit that traumatic time, addressing when and why the alter personality was born, and slowly we can begin to integrate the personalities with the help of professional therapy and, more importantly, with the support of a lot of consistent love. The Monarch program is inhumane. It has been purposely designed to abuse the victim's mind by forcing this innate, sophisticated coping strategy of the brain to kick in, so that the victim, in order to cope with the extreme pain and trauma being inflicted, has to dissociate, creating dissociative identity disorder, which used to be more commonly known as multiple personality disorder. Once the victim's brain has dissociated, the various alters or personalities are then found by the handler and programmed using state-of-the-art mind control techniques. Cat or kitten alters come out at this level, and they are deliberately programmed to be sex slaves. This accounts for the pervasiveness of kitten or cat imagery surrounding models, actresses, and musical artists. The nickname given for beta programming is sex kitten programming.
I'm a slave for you like that. I cannot hold it, I cannot control it. I'm a slave for you. I won't deny it, I'm not trying to hide it. Get it, what? Get it, what?
There are various symbols that are used in movies, music videos and fashion shoots to reference dissociative identity disorder. One symbol, which was on the OWL t-shirt I mentioned earlier, are twin images, which are mirrored images side by side. A victim of severe mind control abuse will usually have at least one other personality or alter ego, and this reflection image is supposed to symbolize a split personality. Another symbol is many mirrors in the same room, or a single mirror that has been broken into many pieces or shattered glass. This is symbolizing there are many alter egos and that the core or the original personality has been shattered and split many times. Another symbol, which is slightly more creepy in its nature, are stuffed toys with limbs missing, or sometimes you'll see mannequins or masks. Another symbol is an unnatural hair colour like pink, for example. The link being that these fake-looking unnatural hair colours symbolise alter personalities of the celebrities, or that they are under mind control. It is not certain whether all of these celebrities who have sported a colourful wig or funky hair colour are themselves under mind control and have an alter personality, but after much research I am persuaded that whether they are or are not mind control slaves themselves, they are all definitely being used as pawns in an industry that is run by the Illuminati, who are heavily steeped into the occult to promote their love of torture and mind control by hiding their agenda in plain sight. That being said, it is certain that some celebrities have been and are currently mind control slaves. For example, the original sex kitten programmed or sex slave is Norma Jean. The name of her alter? Marilyn Monroe. And there are many more celebrities who are currently operating under mind control. These celebs usually die before their time, often under suspicious circumstances which are always fobbed off by the media as suicide by overdose. Here is a quick clip of former President Bill Clinton while under mind control.
In covertly recorded off-air transmissions from the Bush-Clinton presidential election campaign in the 1990s, we can see that Bill Clinton was nothing more than a puppet to the puppet masters which placed him in the White House. Bill Clinton's demeanor seems to be similar to a person who is under a hypnotic trance.
There are artists who openly glamorize having an alter ego, another personality that when takes over is in full control of them. The alter ego will have another name and another personality. Let's quickly take a look at a few. The last time I checked, Nicki Minaj had 3 alter egos. She has a teenage gay boy called Roman Zelensky, who is characterized by his feisty attitude. She also has Roman's mother, Martha Zelensky, who is from London and speaks with an English accent. And her latest alter ego is Barbie, who has long blonde or pink hair and seems to always be wearing pink. These personalities are more than just voices on her tracks. They each serve a certain role in her life outside of the studio. That includes an active love life for each of them, which according to Nicki Minaj can get awkward. In an interview with S2S magazine, Nicki Minaj talked about her split personalities, saying, open quote, "The key to know who you are talking to is to listen to their accent. Sometimes I don't like Roman's taste, he doesn't like my taste, it's weird like that. When you're with a boy, I want to feel like you can be the boss if you want to be, but you just let me be the boss in public." Close quote.
Roman is a crazy boy who lives in me, and he says the things that I don't want to say. He was born, just a few months ago. I think he was born out of rage. He was conceived in rage, so he bashes everyone. He threatens to beat people, and he's violent.
That must be nice to have, like, an ignorant loudmouth who you can just sort of blame every...
He wants to be blamed. I don't want to blame him. I ask him to leave, but he can't. He's here for a reason. People have brought him out. People conjured him up. Now he won't leave.
Book critic Caroline Weber in the New York Times in December 2006 described Vogue as the world's most influential fashion magazine. If all of this was just some joke and not to be taken seriously, then why does Vogue give Lady Gaga's alter ego Joe Calderoni the front page cover glory? Let's take a look at Beyoncé. Beyoncé is the good girl with the gospel background, usually portrayed reasonably clean cut, while her alter ego, called Sasha Fierce, is the bad girl, usually dressed in black and red, with devil horns or Baphomet imagery somewhere nearby. This is what Beyoncé told People magazine on the 18th of November in 2008, open quote, "Sasha Fierce was born when I did Crazy in Love. People, when they meet me, expect that all the time, but that person is strictly for the stage," close quote. So let's take a look at the symbolism in her Crazy in Love video. We first see Beyoncé walking towards a speeding car, with Jay-Z in the back seat. Note, she's wearing a white vest. The colour white is usually symbolic of purity, innocence. It can also symbolise being prepped for sacrifice. The driver of the car represents the entity that already took over Jay-Z. Beyoncé loosens up her hair to prepare herself and walks up on a stage to begin initiation, symbolised by sexual dance moves. Here you see Beyoncé on a stage mimicking ritual sex for initiation, which is a common practice in the occult. She then reaps the rewards of selling her soul, which was her initiation, with fame and a fortune. The flashing lights represent her fame and success. Next you see her being emulated by young girls who are copying her dancing style. Note, she is now in red. The colour red usually represents blood, which is implying she is being sacrificed. You then see good Beyoncé stuck in the back seat of the car. Jay-Z lights it up and literally blows up the car with Beyoncé trapped inside. The burning of the car represents the death of old Beyoncé. After the explosion, Sasha Fierce magically reappears next to Jay-Z, looking sexy yet devilish. Jay-Z is wearing black to represent his dark side. In his verse, Jay-Z refers to Beyoncé as Young B because she was just reborn. This is, according to Beyoncé, the birth of Sasha Fierce. For more insight into understanding the esoteric messages conveyed in many music videos, check out this very informative website, www.vigilanttcitizen.com. So why the butterflies? Monarch mind control is named after the monarch butterfly, an insect who begins its life as a caterpillar and after a period of cocooning is reborn as a beautiful butterfly. The caterpillar is supposed to represent the undeveloped potential in a victim, the cocoon represents the programming phase, and the beautiful butterfly represents the monarch slave. The monarch butterfly learns where it was born, and it passes this knowledge via genetics onto its offspring, from generation to generation. This was one of the key animals that tipped scientists off that knowledge can be passed genetically. The monarch program is based upon Nazi and Illuminati goals to create a master race partly through genetics. If knowledge can be passed genetically, which they believe it can, then it is important that parents be found that can pass the correct knowledge onto those victims selected for the monarch mind control. Another reference to butterflies is it has been reported that when a person is undergoing trauma induced by electric shock, a feeling of lightheadedness is noted, as if one is floating or fluttering like a butterfly. In order to achieve a new world order, there needs to be a few things in place, such as a one world currency, a one world army, a one world leader, and a one world religion. Francis Bacon's 1605 book, New Atlantis, describes an ideal society where science and reason would rule, according to the principles of Freemasonry and Rosicrucianism. The book is said to be the blueprint of the founding of America. In fact, the esoteric meaning of America itself is it is supposed to be the New Atlantis. For decades, Hollywood has been producing movies glamorizing America as saving the whole world from impending destruction, which is usually in the form of aliens, UFOs, or meteors, etc. There is typically one American man who is an average Joe who, through sacrificing his own life, manages to save the whole world. This plot is rehashed over and over again with slight variations from time to time. This is in fact a twisted depiction of what Christianity teaches, that one man called Jesus sacrificed himself to save humanity. The New World religion is based on a certain few ideas that, if this is the first time you are hearing them, should sound really strange. However, it is likely that due to intense, direct and subliminal exposure through images, music and movies you have been subjected to for years, you may experience a sense of, I already knew this, or perhaps even, I already believe this. But bear in mind, there is absolutely no evidence for the following claims of this new one world religion. Here they are. 1. That the legendary city of Atlantis was a real place which has an ancient civilization. 2. That aliens from Atlantis created us by genetically engineering our human race. 3. That these aliens have supreme higher intelligence and super advanced technology and are generally superior to us. Have you ever seen a Hollywood movie that says otherwise? When the Illuminati decide the time, they will reveal to the masses through the media aliens who are behind life as we know it, as an attempt to override all current religions by bringing a unity in this new understanding of our origins. There will also be unity in further intolerance towards the Bible and Christians. After all, we still believe in the Bible, and according to the powers that be, the Bible has always been wrong about everything. And as Christians, despite the new revelation of these aliens, we will still hold on to what the Bible teaches as the truth. It will be Christians who will continually resist the New World religion when everyone else will start to embrace it. I just want to pause to interject a side note here, as I do not want to be so presumptuous as to claim aliens do not exist. On the contrary, from research, I am persuaded that there are some genuine testimonies of alien and UFO encounters, and it is for the listener to investigate the information regarding these experiences in their own time and to draw their own conclusions as to the nature of these aliens. But what I am stating for the sake of this presentation is that there is masses of disinformation and propaganda regarding aliens and UFOs, and that it is this disinformation and Hollywood agenda that has been planting seeds in our minds to open the doorway in accepting a new world religion. In the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 24, when Jesus' disciples came to him and questioned him about the end times, Jesus' first words were, in verse 4, "Watch out that no one deceives you," and goes on to say in verse 24, "There shall arise false prophets, and they shall show great signs and wonders, so that, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect." In fact, Jesus says over and over again, "Let no one deceive you," in this famous chapter regarding his words on the end days. The good news is, now you know the esoteric meanings behind all of these symbols: one-eye symbolism, owls, skulls, crucifixes, military clothes, Mickey Mouse ears, and alien fashion. But perhaps you are still a die-hard skeptic and are unable to accept even the possibility that evil not only exists, but is organized in this world by Satan himself. The thing is that despite whether you believe there is a devil or not, there is a group of very wealthy elite who are 100% Luciferian, and they desire to control this world and all those who inhabit it. And they do often use subliminal messaging in order to achieve this, which has been proven to influence our thoughts and behaviour. At the very least, you may now just think, oh, there's an owl. I watched a YouTube video once from some weirdo who thinks owls represent Moloch, a pagan god of human sacrifice. But the fact is, even to think that much, your brain is already firing beta waves, working as a filter. Your brain can't help but sift through all of these images that have been discussed here, and thus, these images can no longer just be absorbed into your subconscious mind and affect you covertly. Instead, now your brain will automatically make a mental note of them, critically evaluating them, and unlike before, you are now free to reject them. But to be honest, my hope is for much more than that. I believe what is written in Ephesians chapter 6 verse 12 is true. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in the high places. This scripture teaches us that there is another realm to this world, and we are at spiritual war. There are two sides, good versus evil, God versus Satan. There is no fence. The devil has a plan to deceive every soul. He has been a liar since the beginning. His favourite trick is to appear as Lucifer, an angel of light, to attract us to him. But the good news is, God also has a plan to save each one of us, and he has already revealed it to us through his word. The more one knows about what the Bible says about the end times, and the more one stays informed with what is presently going on in the world, the more it would appear that we are being plunged into that period of time about which the Bible says more than it does about any other period of time in human history, including the time when Jesus walked the earth. Now, this is too much of a preposterous statement to casually accept or reject. But in order to challenge it, you will need to do two things. Firstly, find out what is actually happening on the current world scene. This task used to be really difficult, as you won't get a clue about what's really going on and why from watching the evening news. The media has its own agenda, and it takes pride in its ability to shape public opinion rather than to inform it. Malcolm X put it like this, open quote, "If you're not careful, the newspapers will have you hating the people who are being oppressed and loving the people who are doing the oppressing." Close quote. The second thing to do is to find out for yourself what the Bible says about the end times. This is simply a matter of diligent commitment. Bible prophecy suffers both from its enthusiasts as well as its detractors, but a carefully balanced study of this challenging area is clearly one of the most crucial commitments anyone can ever undertake. The place to start is the book of Revelation. The Bible is made of two testaments called the Old and the New. These are comprised of 66 books in total, and the book of Revelation is the last book of the Bible. It is the only book of the Bible that declares a special blessing on the reader and the hearer. No other book in the Bible singles itself out in this respect. And one of the reasons why Revelation is always such a special blessing is that a proper review of it will include supporting passages from virtually every other book of the Bible. This amazing book puts God's entire plan of redemption into focus, from Genesis to Revelation. Thank you for your time.